In October 2020, Corndel launched the first Fundraising Apprenticeship Programme. This audio case study puts the spotlight on the experiences of some of the first fundraiser apprentices to take part in the programme. I'm Becky Phillips, and it was a privilege to interview 6 apprentices who do a variety of different fundraising roles for different sized charities. I hope you enjoy listening. Firstly, welcome and thank you for sharing your experiences today. Can you start by telling us a little bit about your role and your organisation?
So I'm Aimee. I work as a fundraising assistant for Hospice in the Weald. And Hospice in the Weald is a local charity that provides care completely free of charge to patients who are living with a terminal illness, their families, carers and loved ones in the West Kent and Northern East Sussex area. I work on the fundraising team to help fundraise the £7 million that we need every year to continue to provide outstanding care to our community.
My name is Terrell. I'm the Partnerships Officer for Coach Core Foundation. We're based in London. Coach Core Foundation is a social mobility charity that aims to improve the life chances of 16 to 24-year-olds who are not in employment, education or training, so their needs. We do this by using a sports apprenticeship program where we help them gain skills, experience on the job and prepare them for the end, which comes into getting employment and opportunities. So my role is part of the fundraising team. So I'm particularly working with trusted foundations, building applications, sort of building our case of support, and also just helping research and find out who we can reach out to, who we can work with to continue bringing in the funds needed to continue doing what we do.
My name is Burt. I work for the NSPCC, which is a children's charity and works on all issues relating to child protection, including sort of campaigning for policy change, programs that prevent abuse and neglect, and supporting children who have already experienced abuse. My role is a philanthropy manager in the trust team. I work on raising 5- and 6-figure grants for the organisation.
I'm Constance Greenfield. I've been with the NSPCC now for the last 3 years. For those of you who don't know, the NSPCC is the leading children's charity fighting to prevent child abuse in the UK and in the Channel Islands. In my role as a philanthropy manager, I work with individuals who are interested in exploring how their personal support can make a difference in our work and keep more children safe.
My name is Paul McGrory and I work for the Alder Children's Charity based at Alder Hospital in Liverpool. I'm a corporate fundraiser and I work, my role is to encourage donations from corporate sponsors to support the work done by the clinics, clinicians at Alder Children's Hospital.
I'm Emily and I work at Breaking Barriers. We're a charity that support refugees to find stable and meaningful employment. And my role there is a philanthropy manager.
How did you get into fundraising?
So I started getting into fundraising as I've always been quite passionate about the charity sector. I'd previously worked and volunteered for many different organisations, starting as a youth worker, helping to get young people to create social action projects in their communities. And then I went overseas and volunteered for different organisations, helping local community projects. And then to progress my career in the non-for-profit industry world, I decided to become a fundraiser to help create and plan fundraising activities with a kind of community focus.
So how I got into fundraising is quite interesting, actually. I haven't been in very long at all, actually. I've been in for about 4 months now, but almost 10 years ago now, maybe 8 years, I was a Coach Core Foundation participant. I was a young person that was funded and supported and went through the program, continued to use my skills and went forward and worked in the US and was in Qatar before now. So I've returned to this role and joined Coach Core and the fundraising team and want to use my passion and experience of Coach Core, but also learn how to fundraise and how to sort of help get the information needed and support we can to do what we do. And I feel like I believe in what we do. So I took the opportunity to learn the inside of the role rather than being a young person on the other side.
So I got into fundraising. I finished university with a degree in international development, and I took a placement year, which continued sort of on past that for a couple of years with a very small charity. And I did lots of different roles within that small charity, fundraising, sort of project planning, all different types of charity work, I guess. But I knew I was in the right sector, but I wanted to explore ways of sort of refining my skills into one area. I knew I liked the fundraising side of it. I just didn't know how to go about it. So I signed up to sort of various different charity specific recruitment agents, and the fundraising role at the NSPCC came up. And I just decided it was a great option to start sort of forming a career in the sector and becoming an expert in one area rather than knowing a little bit about everything, I guess.
Once I decided that I wanted to work in charities, I applied for an internship at the NSPCC in the partnerships team. And I really loved the variety of different projects and things that I got to work on. So that was a brilliant kind of gateway for me into fundraising.
Very recently, I got into fundraising because I came in via a commercial career. I was in retail buying for probably the last 35 years in various organisations, and in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I took on a trustee role at a local autism charity, and that I was working with the finance committee and chairing the finance committee on that with that board. And that gave me an insight into the inner workings of a charity. And I felt that when the opportunity presented itself, I'd like to pursue and have a career change and pursue a role within a charity. So I'm only 16 months into my charity career. So it's all quite new to me still.
Well, I have heard that this is quite common amongst fundraisers, but I definitely did fall into fundraising because I was on the civil service graduate scheme, and they had this option in the second year of the scheme that you could do a 6-month secondment in either the private sector or the wider public or the third sector. So I applied to do that, and I just stressed on the form so much that I really wanted to go to a charity. And they obviously listened, and that's how I then came to Breaking Barriers, to be a 6-month secondee within the charity as in the role of philanthropy manager. So it was always supposed to be finite, but as soon as I arrived, I was just blown away by how amazing the charity is and the work that it does, how dedicated my colleagues are, the amazing talents and resilience of the clients that we support. And now it's been a year and a half and I'm still at Breaking Barriers. They were hiring for a philanthropy manager around about the time I was supposed to return to civil service, and I applied for the role. I had always imagined that after I finished the graduate scheme, I'd work in government policy for a few years and then transition into the charity sector. It always really did appeal to me, but just never expected it would happen so soon. But I can honestly say that I haven't looked back, and I couldn't be happier to be working in a role that I just really love with amazing people and addressing a cause that really means so much to me.
What appealed to you about doing a fundraising apprenticeship?
I think the main reason I decided to apply for a fundraising apprenticeship is because I felt it would really push me and excel me with better opportunities, networking, opportunities for me to progress as a fundraiser. And the course allows me to kind of delve into all aspects of fundraising and the charity world, providing a great support system to aid my work, essentially.
I feel like what appealed to me most about the fundraising apprenticeship is the change in sector. Before this, I'd never been in fundraising. I'd heard the term used, but I never really understood what it is and how it breaks down and what makes a fundraiser do what they do. And I think for me, it was time for myself to have a career change. I've been coaching prior to now for about 8 years. So I wanted to change my career and learn a new skill set and be in a new sector. But what I've always liked and what is similar to my old coaching past is helping people. The bottom line is that you're helping people that need the help and giving support there. And I feel like my experience in being with the charity, but working with people of all ages and different experiences helps me. It will help me to be a good fundraiser. I feel like I have a knack or passion for it.
So the fundraising apprenticeship, I wanted to gain a professional qualification. I knew I had sort of settled, okay, fundraising is for me. I definitely want to progress a career in this. And I wanted a professional qualification. And the fundraising apprenticeship just sort of appealed to me really because it focused on the practical application of the theory rather than just all these theoretical ideas. I really felt like it would give me an opportunity to refine my skills and learn on the job whilst also getting all that background information that I sort of hadn't really had before. And I felt like just being able to learn a bit more about the work I do whilst also really refining everything that I'm doing on a daily basis was the best option to really help me progress.
I think for me, I really wanted to develop and grow my fundraising skills a little more. And one of the fantastic things has also been being able to build a network of colleagues right across the sector who I might not have met otherwise, and being able to kind of share best practice with them. It's been great.
I chose to do the fundraising apprenticeship because my knowledge really is sketchy. If you take the big picture of fundraising, I'm quite experienced in corporate fundraising and dealing with major donors. What I lack is experience in trusts and foundations and community fundraising and legacy fundraising and the other different components. And I felt that by coming on the apprenticeship and learning something, an overview of all of those different facets, that I would be able to be a more rounded fundraiser and understand all of the different tangents from it.
So when I was a few months into my role at Breaking Barriers as philanthropy manager, I was suffering from quite a lot of imposter syndrome, that I didn't really belong in the role, that I was underqualified for it because I lacked a lot of that foundational knowledge that I think is so important. Especially, having a strong grasp of the theory of whatever I'm doing has always been something that's really important to me. And I just had this consistent feeling that I didn't understand the world of fundraising, didn't understand its background, the different types of fundraising, and how my role as a philanthropy manager fitted within that and was similar or different to philanthropy manager roles in other charities and fundraising in other charities, different size charities. So then the amazing opportunity to do this apprenticeship came up thanks to UBS, which are one of our corporate partners at Breaking Barriers. And so as soon as I saw that it was advertised, I thought that I absolutely have to apply for that. It sounds great. And I'm so grateful to UBS for the opportunity, and I'm grateful to Breaking Barriers for letting me prioritise my learning through doing it, because it's been amazing so far.
And what are you enjoying about the programme so far?
I think there's many different elements to the programme that I'm enjoying. I think a big part of it, a main focus for me, would be the one-to-one meetings that Corndel offer with our coach. Those regular meetings really help to keep me on track and make sure that all my coursework is up to date, and really gives me a lot of great feedback. Another aspect that I really enjoy and I feel are really beneficial are the group sessions that are held by our coach, Gemma. She holds great group discussions, which kind of provides a good platform for us to discuss with different charities and our peers and seek advice, which really helps with the apprenticeship.
What I'm enjoying about the programme most so far is the interaction. I feel like working with people that are in a similar field but very different, whether it's what they do for their organisation or just their experience and how they've gotten to what they do in terms of fundraising. I'm 4 months in, I'm very green in the fundraising world and fundraising sector, but I've got people on the course that I'm working with that have been in for years, for a long amount of time. And I'm always keen to learn from people, from their experience and what they can guide us. So what I'm enjoying most right now is just the interaction with people and building my network and being social and learning.
So the aspects I'm enjoying about the programme so far is really being able to see what I'm learning in the course make a difference in my day-to-day role. And in turn, that I can see that truly makes a difference to the lives of children in the UK. It sort of has a direct correlation. And I'm pleased that I've chosen it to do this sort of fundraising apprenticeship, because it allows that sort of practical application.
What I've really loved about the programme so far has been having the opportunity to really reflect and stand back from the day-to-day, because I think sometimes we can be so caught up in completing tasks and getting on with our work that perhaps sometimes, I know I'm guilty of perhaps not always thinking about how we go about things. So I've really loved having that opportunity to step back from my work and to really think, what's the best way that I can go about this? And it was really exciting to learn more about different learning styles. And I think from the get-go, having those really practical tips and practical ways that you could incorporate the course into your day-to-day work has been really brilliant.
I think it's really it's interesting because it covers quite a wide range of topics, and it takes you into a fair degree of detail in some cases, so that you're always encouraged to give examples, real life working examples to illustrate your points. And I think that certainly on the areas where I'm not as familiar with, like community fundraising or trust and foundation, or even sort of legacy giving, it's enabled me to try to link the learning to a real life situation that goes on in the charity that I work for. So I'm enjoying being able to assimilate the two things, really, my working role and learning more about the technicalities of it. The other bit I'm enjoying is getting to know more about the code of fundraising practice, because whilst it's a huge tome and I may dip in and out of it during my working day, the course is structured in a way that it's encouraging me to look at different elements of that throughout the topics that we cover. So it's getting me a better rounded knowledge of the legislation behind it too.
I am really enjoying my one-to-ones with Gemma. She's great, and she's my tutor on the programme. She's helped me to understand so much more about myself and about fundraising. And I've also really enjoyed the workshops with all of the other participants from the programme. I've really enjoyed meeting them all. Everyone's in such varied, interesting roles, and the group are really supportive. It's a privilege to be a part of it and a part of the first cohort. I really like the coursework. It's very self-directed, so that we can work through the modules in our own time, and the content is on there is really well structured. I think it's a sort of really natural progression through starting looking at sort of how you like to learn and then moving into history of fundraising. And yeah, it's really interesting and engaging. And particularly I've enjoyed, I suppose, working through the different types of fundraising and learning also about ethical fundraising. That was particularly interesting. And at the moment on the programme, we're working on our case for support, which I can tell is going to be just incredibly useful for my day-to-day role at Breaking Barriers.
If someone was thinking of becoming a fundraising apprentice, what would be your advice to them?
I would highly recommend doing a fundraising apprenticeship. I'd tell anyone that wanted to progress their career within fundraising to take the opportunity, as Corndel especially provides a great peer, mentor, student coordinators, everything to help you and aid your learning throughout the programme, which kind of extends beyond just the basics of this is fundraising. It really allows you to apply those within your work in a more practical way.
Go for it. Do it. I feel like apprenticeships are something that are overlooked way more often than they should be, as it's a perfect combination of learning and working all in one. And I feel like something that I've learned on Corndel that I've appreciated a lot is it really does go into depth and detail of what it takes to be a fundraiser and what those sections look like. And I feel like without Corndel at the moment, my job would be very, very difficult, simply because I don't have the skills and experience. And what I've seen on the course from my peers and my colleagues is that they're also learning, even having been in fundraising for years and long time. Some people don't actually understand or know the backgrounds or where it's come from, or some of the more details of other sectors within the fundraising. Like I said, with the whole corporate and trust foundations and the digital fundraising aspects, is all things that you may have known in passing, but if you are asked in detail, you probably couldn't say, which Corndel was helping bridge that gap for everybody in fundraising.
Just go for it. Like, don't have any reservations about it. You won't just learn about fundraising, you'll learn about the charity sector. So even if you are unsure if fundraising is the right career for you, you will learn so much about personal development, about the sector, and I think just keep an open mind about the opportunities it could bring.
I would say absolutely go for it. It's a really fantastic opportunity to gain an understanding of fundraising as a whole, not only to develop your strengths in the specialty of fundraising that you're in, be that major gifts, community, legacy, corporate, wherever that is, but also to understand how other teams work, to understand their priorities. And, I think it would just be a fantastic opportunity. So, yeah, take it.
I would say, giving advice to anyone thinking of going on the course, I would say definitely do it, because it's a rounded course. Whether you come into fundraising with one perception or one idea of what it might be, it will open your eyes to the wider spectrum. It may open up your eyes to other facets of fundraising that you might not have considered before, and it may help to demonstrate the career path that is there for you. And it doesn't have to be a big organisation. It can. I work for quite a small size charity with only 25 people working in it, but I know that some of the other guys work for big national organisations, and I think you can use the learnings from the apprenticeship scheme to develop a career, whichever way, with a large or small company.
Well, first of all, I'll just say absolutely go for it. It's such a varied role, and it's just a huge privilege to spend your days working with like-minded people.
Thank you for listening to the inspiring and motivational stories from some of the first fundraiser apprentices. If you're interested in developing fundraising skills at your organisation, you can email info@corndel.com or visit corndel.com/fundraising.